Okay, we're back for video 2 of October stamp class, Pretty Pumpkins. We'll wait just a little bit to let this show up in some news feeds. Let Dale have a minute to find it on the iPad. Got it?
You know me on Facebook.
The love-hate relationship.
Well, I think it's, how about a like-hate relationship?
There we go. Gotcha. We'll wait just a minute. I don't show anybody here with us yet, but sometimes it takes a minute to show up. I know there's a little bit of a lag too. I forgot that Donna grew up in the Seattle area, so yeah, it's a little bit cooler up there, isn't it? Her definition of chilly,
Yeah.
a little bit different. Donna's back.
And they got like the Mount Rainier and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
It's one of the places I still want to go visit. I have a couple friends from that area. Now you were wanting to tell them something too about, you said you forgot to tell them on the watercoloring. What was that?
On the watercoloring, as the water dries,
Oh, okay.
it lightens up, and so that's when it's after it's dried, you come back in and you can use like a pen or a pencil, or even use a lot more color with your painter, less water, more color, to add detail.
Detail. Okay. I think you can do that with the Stampin' Blends too. Once it dries, it looks a little bit different.
Right.
So, yeah.
And
So just know that once you let it dry, you may want to touch it up a bit. Just always use restraint. Dale tells me to edit myself whenever I'm using the Stampin' Blends. I tend to go a little bit overboard. So it's a learning process. It's a class. That's what we're here for, right? Okay. We ready?
Well, and the good thing about it is as we're learning, we can add them to cards and send them away.
There you go. So I know that Sherry Berry colored her pumpkins and sent me a picture, and she did go ahead and post them on the share thread. So her card is beautiful. She did a great job. So if you have worked on your card, or if you're coloring pumpkins, or like I said, if you've even made pumpkins with another set, pumpkin cards or projects, be sure and show them to us so you can inspire us. We want to brag on you a little bit too. Okay, card number 2 is up next. And again, we're using just a little strip of Designer Series paper. And this time we're going to stamp a little bit and make a bit of a background. And it's subtle, but it still does add some interest there. So we've got a crumb cake card base. Going to start with that. And look at there. Mine is not scored properly.
Ooh.
That's not good because I score it first and then I cut it. So that may mean that somebody else does not have a good card. This is completely wonky. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me just a minute.
Okay. If you got a bad card base, I'm so sorry. There's one in that other kit, Dee. If you don't mind pulling that out. If you did, let me know, and I'll replace it for you. Okay, much better. So we've got our 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4. And we'll burnish that. That almost looked like a scrap versus a card base, didn't it? And then, of course, we've got a piece of basic white for the inside.
Donna said hers was perfect.
Okay, good. Yeah, you know, sometimes I mess up, and I'm sorry. Glad that one was in my kit, though. I'm trying to use restraint or edit myself with my glue as well. I don't think that's coming out, is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm trying to go back to that tip that I learned quite a while ago of using a little bit of circular motion in the corners. Not too close to the edge because, you know, the glue does kind of move over towards the edges, but just doing that to try to use a little bit less glue and not end up with it on me. That's the goal. That's a goal.
Well, let's say not as much.
Not as much on me. Okay, gonna bring in my silicone craft sheet, and then I want to grab some soft succulent ink, and I love doing tone on tone stamping. Don't do it very often, but when I remember this technique, I really like it. So there is a leaf image, a little pumpkin leaf, and we're gonna just come in, and whenever I stamp a background, I like to do kind of a diagonal. And even though it's not going to show all the way across, I tend to do better if I stamp as if it will show. So just kind of turning that leaf as I'm stamping, filling in, stamping off the edge sometimes. And you can put as many or as few leaves as you want. You could also use second generation stamping where it's a little bit lighter. I think this time I actually stamped a little darker than the first for my sample. So just want that little bit of a background. And then again, we're using that strip of Designer Series paper. Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat. Now you could really use either side. I decided to go with this that has the blue, I guess that's really soft succulent in the background. But either side of the paper, that's what's so nice, having double-sided paper. It's not working.
Okay.
Let me find a different glue. Oh no, I'm bad about not putting the lid back on, so then my glues don't want to work. Ooh, I put too much. I'm going to bring my silicone craft sheet back in. I love this thing. It can really help protect your work surface. This will help me get this piece over to the side and lined up really well without getting glue on me. Or that's the idea anyway, so. Alright. Got this part ready. And I think we'll go ahead and add this to the card base. Much better. This bottle is much newer, I think. Mm-hmm. Get that all lined up. We good?
We're good. Jan says she's back.
Welcome back. And welcome back, Mac. Okay, so we can set that aside and let that dry. Let's do a little bit more stamping. So you're going to find in your kit, this is the die that I've somehow lost. I've put it somewhere. And I'm going to show you an alternative on this. We're going to stamp our sentiment first. And again, I'm using some Early Espresso ink. And let me remember what this sentiment says. Gather together. I'm going to remount this on this block. I had a little bit of trouble stamping this on my sample and getting this straight. And I think it's really kind of it kind of fools my eye because of the way that the sentiment is. It's a really pretty font, but it is a little bit forgiving. So I think that's part of the reason why I like those scripty fonts. So we'll stamp this on this little label, and this label comes from the Tasteful Labels dies. That is a die set that we have used so much. That looks pretty good.
That's good.
Okay. Get that out of the way so I don't have a catastrophe. And now I'm going to bring in my Misty Moonlight ink. And I have the pumpkin image, and it's got kind of a design here, kind of filigree. It's really, really pretty. So I'm going to ink this up. And again, if you don't have this stamp set, I'll be showing you an alternative. Now, I thought about stamping it straight down. You could certainly put this in your Stamparatus. You could make a template, put it in your Stamparatus. But I'm going to try something else and see how this works. I'm going to turn that die cut over, and you can kind of feel the edge and know which side is top and which side is bottom. And I'm just going to add this to the stamp. Rub it a little bit. I feel like I'll get it lined up better doing it this way. I'm making Dale nervous, aren't I? Yes.
Yeah, what do you want?
I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool to pick it up. And that actually did very well. I'm happy with that. So that's a little tip on how you can use your stamp if you've already die cut your image. Now, when we're not doing a class on video, what I would typically do is stamp and then die cut. But because we need to die cut for you, but we can't stamp for you, that's one of Stampin' Up's policies, we can't include stamped images in the class packet. But if you have this stamp set, that's a way to do it. If you don't have the stamp set, you could always run this pumpkin through one of your embossing folders. That would be really pretty. You could just use a sponge dauber and add some ink around the edges. Another thing that I want to show you is I decided to pull out a different stamp set. So again, Tasteful Touches. This is one that carried over from last year from our annual catalog. And what I decided to do was use this image here, and I'll just ink it up, and I'm going to decorate my pumpkin with that.
Donald wants to know what color blue you're using.
I'm using Misty Moonlight. So I decided that that would work just fine to color this pumpkin. So look through your stamps and see what you have. I think that turned out really pretty. And so it's very similar to our stamped pumpkin using the stamp set that I'm featuring. Yes, Misty Moonlight, but I think that Night of Navy would work. Okay, so we've got our stamping done. Now I've got to decide which pumpkin to use. I guess I'll use this one. That turned out pretty though. So look through your stamps and see what you have if you don't have this set. Okay, now we're just ready to layer on our pumpkins. So I'm going to use the intricate pumpkin first. Kind of get my placement. And you could go ahead and just set them all out and see where you want everything. And I did kind of put them over to the side. You know, they're not sitting straight up. And I definitely want to have room for my sentiment too. So kind of get your placement where you want everything. And I think that I have lost my pumpkin leaves. I know I have one. Those little pieces make it kind of hard, but I'm just going to come in with a little bit of liquid glue. And you could certainly use a sponge dauber. You could use your silicone craft sheet and a sponge dauber just to add a little bit of glue. Now this one's not going. Just putting it in a couple of key places here. Oh, thank you. You found my other leaf for me. And I like having a little bit of dimension, not all of this glued down entirely. If you like it glued down, you could always die cut it using our adhesive sheets, which really kind of makes the die cut piece a sticker. I think I'm going to put this one right about here. Maybe a little bit higher than on my other card, but that's okay. And then I'm also going to glue this one flat. A little bit of glue here. Our liquid glue is really strong, so you don't need a lot. And then we'll pop up this blue one that we stamped. I can find my dimensionals again. What do you think, Dee? That other pumpkin turned out pretty good, didn't it?
It did turn out good.
Sometimes we have to think outside the box. You're supposed to say what box?
Mm-hmm.
Oliver. Okay, we'll add this pumpkin here. And then we'll add our sentiment. Now I'm just going to put dimensionals on either side of my sentiment here, because we're going to have that pumpkin image, and it's already popped up. That'll just kind of bridge across there. They doing okay?
You're doing okay.
Are they doing okay? Any comments? Or they're working, aren't they?
They're working.
And then, of course, we want to put a little bling. And I just put one of these larger brushed metallic dots here. And then we'll bring our ribbon in. And you just need a tiny piece. And again, I think I gave you plenty of ribbon in your kit. So you could put a bow here if you want to, but I'm just tying a knot. Trim that off just a tiny bit. And then I'll add that with a glue dot to that intricate pumpkin. There's one. And that's going to finish up the second card. Okay, there we go. Hope you guys like this one. Okay, next up, we've got another card that we'll go ahead and do on this video with you. And Dale, if you'll hand me those supplies. Get things kind of set out here. I make myself a kit just like y'all. I'll get organized. So you've got a couple of pieces of basic white. You've got your Misty Moonlight card base, a strip of Designer Series paper, and this time we've got a white pumpkin we're going to be stamping on. I'm going to use that same technique. And then also we've got one cut from the brushed metallic sheets. That's a really pretty pack of the foil sheets, and that carried over from last year as well. Now remember, with any of these cards, you can certainly stamp on the inside. You could use little strips of Designer Series paper that you have left over. You could even do the pumpkins. Like this one's small enough that you could die cut that and put it inside. I'm going to be on a hunt for that other die this afternoon. I need to find that. I'm sure it's tucked in another set. Oh, yes. I guess I should show them the card, huh? This is the one we're working on this time. Again, the strip of Designer Series paper. Just using those die cut images. Super simple, that it's so pretty. I like using the Misty Moonlight. They doing okay?
The comments are not coming.
Comments not coming through. Okay, sorry y'all. Facebook. Oh, Facebook. So I'm going to do my stamping with Misty Moonlight. And I noticed that when Sherry did the other card, she put her sentiment on this side. So I'm going to try that this time. We're going to mix it up a little bit. I like that. I tend to put my sentiment over on the right, but that looked really good, Sherry, so you inspired me. That looks pretty good. Nope, I just got Misty Moonlight ink on my finger. At least I didn't put my whole finger in the ink pad like I've done before. On video, I need that ink pad. No, I need pumpkin pie. That's what I need. Okay. Let's see if I'm still living right. If I can do that same thing again. This time I'm inking up that pretty pumpkin image with pumpkin pie ink. And again, I'm going to kind of feel, I can tell it's a little bit more rough on the back. I'm going to pop this pumpkin right on the stamp. I'm going to rub it a little bit, get that ink to transfer. I love this trick. You may be good though at just lining it up and stamping. Okay, my take your pick tool. And just using the putty end to attach that, pick it up. Oh, that worked great. Very nice. I think that's much better than if I tried to just stamp down and line it up. Okay, let's add our piece of Designer Series paper. And again, you could go either way. I'm going to use that blue side, but gosh, that I think this is Calypso Coral on the other side of the paper. And that would be really pretty too. I think that would even kind of coordinate with your pumpkin pie pumpkin that we just stamped. I think that would look fine. Is it coming through?
It's frozen on the image for some reason.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Okay.
We'll go back and answer any questions. So if you guys have any, just go ahead and put them in the comments, and I hope I'm not moving too quickly. Okay, we'll just add this to the front. And of course the color combos are coming from the Designer Series paper.
I think it said she placed her hand in the pumpkin pie.
Oh no. Well, you know, girl, I did that. Oh gosh, it's been several weeks ago now, I think, but I did that with Blackberry Bliss. And I was live on camera. It was quite the mess. But you know, sometimes you just have to laugh at yourself, so that's how that goes. Uh-oh. Oliver doesn't like something. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to just cut the side of my dimensionals a little bit. I know Donna loves it when I do this, because I want these little pieces at the side to put on the back of this metallic pumpkin. Little skinny pieces that I can put through there. I love this pumpkin. It is just so pretty. And I think it looks really pretty cut from cardstock, but it's just really something extra to have it cut from the brushed metallic. Yeah, sometimes we're messy crafters, aren't we? Or me most of the time. Get those backings off. It's a little bit harder when they're smaller pieces, but we got it. And then we can put our pumpkins on, and this card is almost done. And then we have one more video at 11. We've got one more project for you. I kind of like this oriented this other way. What do you think, Dee?
Like like it.
And then I'm going to use my ribbon to make a small bow. I just reeled off a whole bunch, like I need 20 inches of ribbon for a bow. That's okay, I can roll it back on. I love this bumblebee gingham ribbon. I didn't think maybe that black and white gingham would look cute too. Or is that too much? That too outside of the box?
That's a little outside the
That's
box.
too much?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, let me get that out of the way. And I'll put that on the metallic one, but I don't know. Yeah, I think I like it there. Just adds a little something. So let me find the end to my glue dots. Sorry we can't see comments, but like I said, we'll go back and read those.
Aren't you glad the new glue dots changed?
I ordered some glue dots the other day and they're back on the other side, so I don't know. They were rolled differently, but oh, I didn't put my leaves on the other card. I'll go back and do that in just a second. You let me miss that step after finding those leaves for me, Dee. And I'll just put a couple of embellishments, maybe just one on that one, the way that laid out. What did I do with those cards? There they are. Let me pull that back in. So there's that one. Turned out pretty. And then let's put our pumpkin leaves on this other one. You guys probably did. I just forgot to. So you've got two different sizes. And I used glue dots for this so that it would give it just a little bit of lift. And I used the big one on this larger blue pumpkin. You ever see blue pumpkins? We were at the store the other day. Cassandra and I ran in at H-E-B and they had white pumpkins. They were gorgeous. It'd be pretty to cut this intricate one in white.
I don't know that I've seen blue pumpkins, but I've seen purple sweet potatoes.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. I love them. I hope y'all do too. This is just such a pretty set to work with. Super easy to create pretty cards. Okay, we will be back at 11 o'clock. We've got one more project for you. So, see you in a few minutes.